The sexiest thing in the entire world is being really smart.
Welcome to Smart is Sexy, the podcast where we discuss self-development, love, business, spirituality, and becoming a smarter, sexier human. I am your host, Kelsi.
Hi guys, I'm Celeste. Welcome to our show. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe, leave us a review, and send to a friend. Today's episode is sponsored by Awaza. Awaza is an innovative, functional coffee formula that aims to do more than just wake you up. It propels you forward and upward through your day to help you grind and achieve your goals. It's made with clean ingredients, keeping us both smart and sexy. Use code SMARTISSEXY for 20% off when you order online at drinkawaza.com.
You guys, you are in for such a treat today. We have a 2-part episode with our very good friend, Drew Hanlen. He is an MBA skills coach, keynote speaker, and host of his own podcast called Unseen Hours. Drew, we're really excited that you're here.
I'm glad we finally did this, you know?
We're so excited to have you and talk about all different things.
I literally texted him last night. I was listening to other podcasts that he's been on, and I texted him last night and I said, I think I'm your biggest fan.
No, I really am. Actually, on that note, I actually am your biggest fan.
We talk about you a lot.
Yeah.
I love that.
You are the best person ever.
We talk about you like it's such a, we're always so motivated by you. And so we're always like, I'm like, Drew would be fine to take the day off and go do something for himself.
No, and okay, so for our listeners, some frame of reference here. Drew and I used to live in the same building. And I have like so many little anecdotes from this, but I just specifically remember there was one time where you were writing your book at like midnight in the lounge, and I was having a hard time. I was going through some things. And so I come downstairs while you're writing your book, and I'm bawling my eyes out. And he's like, sit down. And I literally just sat there and cried on your shoulder in the middle of the night while you're writing your book. So thank you.
She got to the point where she was on my lap at one point, and I had my arms around her typing the book. And I was still like, just sitting there talking to her, and I was like, giving her advice, and then like, it's okay. Like, I don't know what exactly it was about at that time, but I was, talking her through everything. And she's like in that point where she goes from crying to laughing, where she's like, I know you're right. And I was like, and I just kept typing. I'm like, here I am.
So your mom had made muffins at the time, and I had them. And so because he was like consoling me,
my mom's top
I brought
tier
muffins down. Yeah. So anyways, I'm like sobbing. I was like, I brought you some muffins.
Actually, those were perfect for you because you don't eat any sugar.
I used to not eat sugar. So I went 10 years without eating sugar.
Okay.
Gave up sweets at 12.
That's crazy. Didn't
eat sweets until I was 22. So my big thing was I tried a month-long challenge where I was like, all right, I'm not going to eat sweets. I mean, that meant like no soda, no candy, no ice cream, no anything. And I did it for a month. And after a month, my mom was like, why don't you try to do it again? My mom was big on like the mentality, kind of, the basketball world.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'll do it 2 months. And after the second month, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give up sweets for the rest of my career. So I literally went from 12 to 22, no sweets. Like birthday cakes were never birthday cakes. It was like a fruit bowl with like candles in the fruit, and you had to make sure you had the fruit like packed up enough. Otherwise, the fruit would obviously roll over with the candles.
That's crazy.
But yeah, 10 years without eating sweets, and so I've definitely done a lot of unique things when it comes to like discipline and.
Okay, well, those muffins are only made with applesauce, so
they were fire though.
They're so good.
If you ever are like, hey, I'm not doing sweets, but you want something, my mom will for sure make you.
Shout out mom.
No, seriously, I just remember that I was like going through something, and it was just the nicest thing ever. But even aside from that, like I always call him for advice. I always call you when I need help. You have made me dinner. You are actually just like one of the best people, and I am very honored to know you. I really
appreciate that.
You're the GOAT. Like, and I take so many notes from you all the time, and so I'm really happy that we got to have you on here.
Awesome. I'm excited for this.
I am.
Wow, this is.
I know I need to hire y'all as my PR people,
Yeah, honestly, this is recorded and it will be up on like wherever you can find a podcast. So we should just take this clip out and save it.
No, I told his mom on FaceTime. I was like, "You raised the best person I know." It's really true. Okay, that was a lot of gassing you. So let's get into the podcast.
Speaking of gas, on my way here, I ran out of gas. I stopped on the side of the highway. It was funny. I'm jamming to like a fire playlist. Mm-hmm. And then I called them and I FaceTime them. I'm like, Celeste is like, hey, just, no rush. Like, we can start whenever you get here. I was like, oh, I'm about to run out of gas. She's like, oh, no worries. Take your time. Go get gas. I'm like, no, literally, I'm on the side of the highway right now. And the worst part about it was my car dies. I'm on the side of the highway, but I still wanted to finish the song. So I'm literally listening to the song on my phone while the car is dead. And I'm like, all right, guys, I got to go walk, get gas, and then I'll be over there in a second.
I told you I would have come to bring you gas.
No, you guys were great. You guys were great.
But you walked.
The thing that's funny is like he's on the side of the road and I'm FaceTiming him. I have to tell you, if I was in that position and I had to be somewhere, I'd be freaking out. And you're so chill. Like, we're going to talk about this on the episode, but like, he was laughing. He was like, yeah, the boys took my car. Like
what are you going to do? Like, here we are.
Well, that is like something I'm excited to talk about is your mindset, because it's just like top tier. Okay, before we start, we always begin with Good News Minute, which is a good thing that happened to you lately, this week, anything like that. Who wants to go first? Maybe you should go first since you're
all
like
right,
our
I'll
guest.
start out.
Okay.
All right, so I was doing a keynote for Enterprise Rent-A-Car in Napa Valley. They had all of their Bay Area like senior execs and stuff like that. And so I've been doing a ton of keynotes, all around the world, and my problem is I have such a hard mindset that like I keep it real with people in a way that some people leave super motivated and then other people leave feeling like shit. And so I've been really trying to connect more with every member of the audience in a way that I can say, hey, listen, the reason I'm saying these things is because I'm here to help you. It's not because I want to make you feel bad. It's because I want to give you that gut check that allows you to kind of now make a decision if you do want to change the things that are beating you up inside, And so this was like the first keynote that I was like, all right, I'm going to go like all in on emotion and make sure that I connect before I convince. Like, instead of going on stage and convincing them that they need to like make the changes that they know they need to make, I'm going to like try to connect with them first on a deeper level, emotional level, and then try to drive action that way instead of just convincing them. I had like 4 or 5 people that literally were in tears during the speech.
Aww.
The whole audience was laughing and stuff like that. So my big thing was I had never had a time where people were like, they came up afterwards and not only felt motivated, but they felt touched. So that was my Good News Minute, was that I feel like I took a step in the right direction of not being so hard on people that don't have the same mindset as me, and like really just kind of relating to them. And it was cool afterwards when they came up, they're like, I was literally so touched by this story, or, oh my God, when you said this, I put myself in your shoes. And so I feel like I'm going to be able to drive more action based on that instead of just being like, are you all in or all out? A little bit of gray, not all black and white, a little bit of gray.
No, I think that's a great way to look at it, because I feel like I'm a person that if I were to sit and hear you speak, I would leave feeling very motivated. There would be things where I'm like, oh, I got to work on that. But there are those people who, because they don't even know where to start, they do leave feeling worse about themselves than they did coming in, because they're like,
I'm so far behind.
So I'm so not even where I want to be, or I don't even know what I'm doing. So I think that's a great way to look at that and to like connect with them and have empathy for a person. Because I could imagine that it is really challenging when you're like, I want to be better. I want to do better, but where do I start? That's really hard for a person.
100%. Okay, well, that's fine.
All right, now on to y'all. Let's go.
Great Good News Minute.
Your turn, Cal.
Okay, well, mine's definitely not as good as that, but
I know, I was like, shit, I need to reevaluate mine.
My Good News Minute is that I have recently been listening to How I Built This. Like, I mean, every episode that guy has done, I have just like kind of started at the top and like worked my way down. But I listened to Joe Malone and Jimmy Fallon yesterday, and I'm just want to encourage everyone else to go listen to their episodes. They were so great, so incredible. Joe Malone's story and her journey of starting her own brand, where she came from, going through the things she's gone through in life. She was amazing. And Jimmy Fallon's just like a really cool person, super motivational. But I'm really obsessed with How I Built This. Like, I think the podcast is so good. I found out that I love founder stories. ever
That makes
since ever since Shoe Dog, I'm just it's like my thing that I'm so inspired and motivated, and every time I'm feeling a little bit like I gotta find some inspiration, Founder Story. Yeah, they're so good. So highly
I haven't
recommend.
listened to that podcast in years. So.
I just recently came across
I
it.
used to listen to it back when we used to live like mid Wilshire, like years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's been like a really
You were
long
keeping
time.
secrets.
No, you never liked podcasts before. You remember? You were always like, yeah, I don't think podcasts are for me. You never into them, but
She
now
was
they're
holding
your
out on
thing. Yeah.
She was holding
You
on
know
to me. I'm
what?
hearing a lot of excuses coming from this side of the room.
What you got, Celeste?
Okay, mine is that my mom came back from India yesterday. I picked her up from the airport, and she's been gone for like 5-6 weeks. So one, I was really excited to see her because that's my girl. But she brought all this like traditional Indian jewelry back. Like she brought me earrings and pile, which are anklets. Kels has them on right now. And she brought like a bunch of stuff. So I'm gonna start mixing them in with like my fashion, like pile and Jordans and forces and stuff. And I think it'll be cute. A little bit of like Indian touch to that. So that was my good news minute. And she's home, which is nice because I'm like, sis, you've been gone forever.
She has been gone for a really long time.
She's been gone for so long, and I think just because it's just like the two of us, like out here family wise, I'm like,
well, your mother's a world traveler.
yeah, she's always
just
just bouncing around. Okay, so I'm so excited. I just have so many things to say. Also, I asked the audience for questions, which we'll get into later, and I got so many responses. I was like, okay, so y'all just want to talk to Drew. Like nobody answers us when we take questions.
When we ask people if they have questions for us, no crickets.
Like crickets.
No
but
one
then
cares.
when I ask about you,
Drew's coming on.
My DMs are flooded. And I was like, is this real life right
I
now?
reposted on my story. It was funny. I probably had 1,000 kids ask like, can you fix my jump shot? How do you do this? And I'm like, I don't think those are the questions
I
they
got
want.
a few of those. I got a few like really specific basketball. I was like, what the fuck? One of them was like to the left something. And I was like, what does that even mean? But I'm going to...
We'll stick with the life advice on this
I
one.
actually really do want you to read what that question was.
I'll read it. I was like, huh? Okay. But anyway, so what I was thinking is we'll start with work and like a little bit of your story, a little bit of your mindset. And then later we'll get into like some fun stuff like dating in LA and just like your life. Because I think the life that you live, a lot of people are very curious about what that looks like on the inside. And typically I feel like we're not really like a resume podcast. And we like to kind of go over like, we kind of bounce from relationships to spirituality to career to self-development. So we'll kind of just cover those.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
Take us.
Okay, so I started listening to some of the podcasts you'd been on. I listened to some of yours yesterday. But I want to kind of dive into like, because I think a big part of where you are today stems from where you came from. So I wanted you to kind of like tell us a little bit about where you started off, where you came from, how you got into playing basketball. I really want to hear a story about the 1,000 shots before school every day.
And you want to hear the one about the date?
Oh, and the date. We got to have the date story.
So I was going to say there's two components because really they kind of blend together as far as basketball and business. I feel like the discipline started in sports. Like I was one of those kids that was obsessed with winning everything. It's funny. The only time I ever got in trouble in school was there was a time where I always had to be first in lines. You know how when you line up, like when you're a little kid, you have to be first. So like I knew when the teacher was always going to break us to do things. So I would just start sprinting back there. If I wasn't first, the kids would always let me go first. They knew like I was, leading the way to the water fountain or the bathroom or whatever. You guys can see that, right?
Yes, I'm also laughing because I'm imagining you being in my mom's a 4th grade teacher, and I'm imagining you being in my mother's class. She would have loved you, but you also would have been like the biggest pain in the ass because she'd be like, wait until I dismiss you.
No chance. Yeah, I was always on my time. And the funny thing is, this is how obsessive I was with winning. So there was a school play in 3rd grade, and it was The Wizard of Oz. And the wizard had the most lines in the play. And I couldn't stand like the arts and crafts side of things. I was an athlete. But there was a kid that was like, he was very popular as well in the class, and he wanted the wizard role. So I studied my ass off just so that I could get the wizard role that I didn't want. Just so I could be this lead character in the school play. So like that's how obsessive I was when it came to winning. So I was one of those people.
Kid.
Yeah. Of course. And it was funny because my mom always laughed. She's like, yeah, he wasn't like an artsy kid, but he was always like the lead in the school plays. I'm like, yeah, just because I didn't want other people to have those opportunities. So that was like, that was how I was. That was my mindset, you know, as an athlete and like a little entrepreneur. Like, I mean, I used to do lemonade stands, but then I was like, okay, what I need to do is I need to like be the person that's providing all the lemonade and all the cups and stuff, but have my friends on all these different corners. Then we'd bring all the money together. I would take 50% and then, disperse 50%. This is like when I'm young.
This is amazing.
Grass cutting. Like I used to have a grass cutting lawn service business where I'd go door to door, get the people. And then one of my buddies would actually cut the grass and one of my buddies would trim. So again, I'm not doing the work. I'm knocking on doors, selling, stuff. And then like when it would snow in St. Louis, I had a snowblower when I was young. Like I literally had a snowblow machine so that we could do driveways in like 10 minutes. What used to took us an hour. So like I was just obsessive. CDs when Napster and LimeWire were around. I remember my dad always telling me like the FBI is going to come in and break down our house because once a month I would there was these MP3 CDs, MP3 or MP4 CDs. I forgot what they were, but they allowed you to have like 120 songs on one disc. And so I got those CDs and I was like, now that's what I call music. Only had 20 songs. Like mine can have 120. So every month I would sell them for like $20. And I had a burner that had 4 different disc things. So I could I would copy it 4 times as fast. So that's just how I was. So, when it came to like business, entrepreneurial, when it came to sports, I was just always trying to find advantages. And like, 1,000 shots, I used to shoot 1,000 shots every morning, would wake up at 4:59 a.m.
Okay, that was my question, is I needed to know what time you were waking up to
4:59.
That's insane.
So wait, okay.
4:59 because again, it was 1 minute earlier than everyone that thought they were waking up at 5 a.m. It was a mindset. Like,
okay, wait, just to pause right there. So you were doing all the entrepreneur stuff growing up. When did you start playing basketball?
Oh, when when I started walking.
Okay, so you were just obsessed with it from the jump.
Soccer, like football, baseball. It was just like anything that I could do that was competitive. Monopoly. Like the joke around our house is like, they're like, when we didn't realize this. I didn't even realize this, but there are a lot of games that we play, like whether it's, Yahtzee or Monopoly or, any kind of game. And when I would go over to other families' houses, we'd start playing and they'd be like, those aren't the rules. And what my family always jokes around is like, we don't even know the rules of the games because Drew always changed them to benefit him. So like it is funny because we were playing like water pong, like beer pong last night, but like I don't drink, so like we were playing water pong, and we started playing. They're like, oh, like that's the bitch cup, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, the rules of the game are. I'm like, no, the rules of the game are this. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, these are the rules. Like, and they're like, Drew, you have your own rules for everything that just benefit whatever you do.
So funny. You know what we need to put you on? That show, Wipeout, where you like jump from like, it's like a ninja course or whatever. We need to put you on that. Because you'll probably win, just like, because you're so like determined.
Of course. And the other thing is I've always avoided things that I don't do well. So like, I'm also on that end. Like, I'm not one of those people that is obsessed with winning and will try to win everything at all costs. I'm like, these are the lanes that I'm going to play in, and I'm just going to focus on those. Like, you'll never see me do things that I'm not good at. I just can't. I'm not well-rounded. There's times where, and I'm ashamed to say this, but there's times where there's huge world events going on, and my mom will like call me and be like, oh my God, did you hear about so-and-so country? And I'll be like, what happened? She's like, Drew, are you kidding me? I'm like, because I don't watch the news.
Right.
I don't consume like media. My TV doesn't turn on. Like I never turn my TV on unless there's like a game that I have to watch. So it's like, I feel like most people are very well-rounded. Whereas for me, I'm like all in on a few things like life, business, basketball / sports.
Right.
But yeah, that's just
no, I like that.
Always how I've
okay,
been.
So let's go back. So you wake up at 4:59.
1 minute
at
before
what age?
everyone else.
Like this is in high school?
No, 6th grade.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You're a 6th grader waking up at 4:59 in the morning.
Yeah.
This is okay. So
Wow.
And then you get to the gym, and then
Get
what?
to the gym 5:15. I would, it depends on when I was in my phase. Cause like at one point I would, work out basketball wise. And then my dad taught me how to lift. So he'd meet me at 6 a.m. to like lift weights when I started like 13 was when I started like doing like free weights. He wanted to make sure that he was there to like teach me how to lift properly. So I wasn't just trying to throw out. Then there was like cross country. I started running cross country so I could improve my, athleticism and stuff like that. So then there'd be some mornings where at 5:15 I'd run to the gym, then I'd work out, run back. So it It depends. When I got to high school, that's when I really had a routine where it was like every morning, 5:15, met my high school principal, Dr. Clark, at the gym. He would open up the gym. I would go through, shoot 1,000 shots, sometimes more. And then I'd go home, shower, eat breakfast, get to class, and start the day.
1,000 shots.
That's
before the day
crazy.
starts.
And this is 7 days a week you're doing this?
Every day. I missed
Okay.
4 days of my high school career. Four
Four.
days. It was weird because like even on my phone right now, I still have my alarm. Like, look at this. I'm going to open it up. But if you look at what this says at the bottom, it says sleep or success, you choose. And it was something that
I'm going to steal that.
it was something that I've every single time I've set an alarm in my entire life, that's what I've read. Sleep or success, you choose.
I like that.
And so there were so many days where I woke up and I didn't feel like going to the gym. And I also realized that skipping the gym one day really wouldn't do anything. But it was just the mentality of like, no, like you are a person that goes to the gym every morning. And, you know, that's why I don't drink alcohol. People are like, you're 32 years old, you never taste alcohol. I've turned down $10,000 for one shot in Vegas before, where one of my clients was like, I'll give you 10 grand to take a shot. I was like, no. They're like, why? And I'm like, because I'm a non-drinker. So like every single night when I go out, people know not even to offer me drinks anymore because they're like, he doesn't drink. Whereas if you sometimes drink, even if you drink once a month, every time you go out, they're like, is tonight the night you're drinking?
You're right.
They're going to pressure you like crazy. Then is tonight the night you drink one drink, or is it two? Or does it become a scene from The Hangover?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
for me, it's black and white. Like I didn't eat sweets. So it's like, do you want to eat sweets? No, because I don't eat sweets. Do you wake up every morning at 4:59? Yes, I wake up at 4:59. I shoot before school. That's what I do. So like my thing is like I just make everything a part of who I am instead of like things that I do. Because I feel like most people, they just like they get really motivated, but they aren't like activated. You know, they're motivated to do something, but motivation wears off.
Motivation is fleeting. Yeah. You
it
either are
is.
that or you're not. Yeah. Okay. So that's another thing. You don't drink caffeine. You don't do drugs. I know all of these things. And so did that stem from like a place of like, it's harder to recover from it, or where did it come? What was like the initial concept for it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of things. I think the original thing was just a discipline thing. Like I'm not eating sweets, so like why would I drink alcohol?
Right.
Another thing is control. Like I've worked so hard to build all the companies that I own. Like, and I was like, I don't want like one stupid mistake. Like, you know, and I'm so competitive. Like, like I really do like worry. Like if I ever did start drinking, like not letting somebody out drink me, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, I'm such a
like, I'm coming for the top in anything I do.
I'm such a shit talker that like, you know, I could see my competitive juices flowing. So it's just like, you know, I don't worry about what's in other people's cups, and I don't want them to worry about what's in my cup. And I still spend thousands of dollars a year on alcohol, which is funny because I want my friends to have a good time.
Yeah.
It's just, I choose to be in control, you know?
Well, and I like that because you live in an environment. So you live in LA, and a lot of your friends are, I mean, literally all the top like athletes and celebrities in the world, and your friends own nightclubs. And so you're out at these very A-list scenes, but you don't ever stray from who you are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you're around, and it doesn't matter what you're around because you're still you stay in that.
Even though you have made that commitment to yourself, has it ever been hard in certain social settings
Not at all.
Okay.
I just honestly, I just don't care what people think. I think that's the biggest thing is like, I've never really cared, you know, like my sophomore year in college, looking back, it benefited me a ton, but it was also something I'm like, I kind of regret, but I didn't go out one night my sophomore year in college. Instead, I wrote a 1,200 page book, which is my basketball curriculum. Like at the time, my roommate was Corey Schmidt, and he was one of the managers for the Belmont basketball team. And I would pay him, this was before like Siri was as good where you could like do the talking text. And I would be watching basketball games and I'd be telling him like, hey, on the jab, do this, on the triple threat, do this, on, you know, ball screens, this. And he'd be typing out everything. And that's what I did. I paid him to literally type out what my thoughts were while I was watching film. Then I'd go through and I'd highlight notes, and I'd highlight, you know, blue meant this category, red meant shooting, this was triple threat, this was low post play. And then I paid like the girl that I was dating at the time to literally like organize those notes into different folders and chapters so that I had like my organized thoughts. So like I've always been wired so differently. But the big thing that I do like is I never give in to peer pressure. Like
no, you don't. I can attest to that. Like it's not even just peer pressure. You don't follow trends at all. You do not care who's what if there's like, you know, because I obviously like study that LA scene just because that's our industry, and I watch people in it, and I notice like if one person starts dressing a certain way, other people start dressing it. If one person's doing this, other people are doing this. You are just you, like all the way through. That's something like I really love so much because it's like
one of my boys like painted his nails the other day, and I was like I know that's like trendy and hip. You know, I've had some clients do it, but
No,
I'm like,
I don't like it.
I can't get behind it.
I cannot
was like-
get behind it. I'm sorry. I
can't
know.
get
but
behind
it wasn't him. I was like, what's up with the nails? And he's like, well, this is what LA people do. I'm like, yeah, but that's not what you do, you know?
Right.
So like for me is I'm just going to do me. Like, it doesn't matter where I'm at, who I'm
Yeah.
with, what I'm doing. Like, I'm just going to do what I think is best for me.
Yeah.
And let everybody
and
judge.
and you stay
at the end of the
true.
day.
You stay in that. One of my favorite video things I had seen on your story was you were on a yacht for like a wedding, and I don't know, like you have to break this down because somebody was FaceTiming you and you're on a yacht with your friends and you're coaching them through like their basketball workout while he's literally in the middle of the ocean on a yacht.
So it was Kelly Oubre Jr., one of my clients. It was his wedding. So it was the day before his wedding. So we were down in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he took a yacht out. Like the girls had a yacht, the guys had a yacht. And so we're all out on the yacht. And then Joel Embiid was like working on something that we had been working on. And so he had FaceTimed me. And so I'm sitting there. He's like, am I doing this right? And I'm over here coaching him. And they're like, dude, you're on the yacht in Puerto Rico. And you're over here doing a full FaceTime workout. But that's just how my mind works. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't have an off switch. It's just go, go, go. And the other thing is I never have like FOMO. Like I can't tell you how many times that like last night we were literally at Hyde and Frankie at like 1:30, because I show up at 12:30 and I leave at 1:30. I'm there for an hour. Like it's a joke. So at like 1:45, Frankie's on the mic and he's like, shout out to Drew Hanlen for staying past his bedtime. Like, you know, and I'm like, but it's true. It's just what I do. And they're like, yo, there's this amazing after party, you know, Lil Baby and Chris Brown. And they start name dropping. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, you don't care.
I really don't care.
You don't care. No, I remember that. So for the audience, Drew and I used to live in the same building. And so I actually got to know some of your routine through that. And I remember and Kelsi and I talk about this all the time because I'd be talking to you and it'd be like the middle of the week and you'd be like, what you got tomorrow? And I'm like, oh, I have to get up and work and like do this. Cause I'm like the same where I'm very dedicated, but we go about it in different ways. And I'd be like, what do you have? And you're like, oh, I'm getting up and golfing in the morning. And I would be like, it's a fucking Tuesday. And you're like, I don't care. And so Kelsi and I talk about this all the time because even though you're so dedicated, even though you're so like focused on your career, so, you know, you go to bed at a certain time, whatever, you still make time to do the things that you like. So how can you walk us through like that balance a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is like, why? Like, why do you work so hard? Why do you make so much money? Why do you, put so much on your plate if you're not going to enjoy the fruits of your labor? So, I mean, you know this. I never stress out. There's literally nothing.
Literally, for anybody listening, I mean, never stresses out. Like the world could be on fire, and he'd be like, "All right, well,
be like, let's grab some marshmallows." Yeah, like let's have. This is awesome.
These days, the world is on fire, and Drew is still like, "I'm gonna go golf."
And Kels loves this mindset.
I do, because I think that for so many years, I really struggled internally with shutting off from work, and I recently just discovered that I was so burnt out from work that it was making me hate what I do. And Celeste kind of told me about a conversation you guys had in regards to you getting up on a Tuesday morning and golfing because that's what you love to do. And so I was like, I really want to start enjoying my life more and not feeling guilty for taking time off in the middle of the week to go on a hike, to disconnect from my phone for a little bit and not feel any sort of guilt and like I should be working. And I think about you constantly telling her that because I'm like, I want to do the same thing. I want to get up in the mornings. Maybe I want to learn something new every morning, and then I'll get to work when I get to it, and still work and still grind and still have that hustle and that dedication to yourself and your career, but really just moving into a place of like, I'm going to also enjoy my life.
It has to be like that. Like I saw a quote not too long ago that said something that was pretty cool. And I would put an asterisk. I would kind of add to the quote, but the quote was, you're never truly successful until you can turn down a dinner with no excuse.
That's a good one.
And I was thinking about that. And I was like, can you imagine if somebody was just like, hey, do you want to go to dinner tonight? And you were like thinking of all the reasons why you could justify not going. And you're just like, no, I don't want to go to dinner. The reason I put an asterisk is because I think there's also some, you don't want to make people feel bad. So there is that asterisk behind it where I'd add a comma and say like, you know what I mean? We're all not making people feel some type of way. But the truth is there's so many times where we take on burdens that we don't have to take on. You know, it's like, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, and people start respecting your time more when you respect your own time.
Yes.
And so I don't know how many times I've been in the morning and, you know, workouts maybe start at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. sometimes, whatever. And at 5:45, I know I have to leave to get to the gym. It's a 15-minute drive. And it'll be like 5:40 and I'll be, you know, watching or reading a book and, you know, somebody will be like, hey, don't we got to go? And I'll be like, yeah, once I finish this chapter. And they're like, well, we're going to be late for workouts. I'm like, workouts don't start until I get there. Like, it's my gym. It's my basketball. They're waiting for me to tell them what to do. Like, it's okay, you know? And I realize it just because my clients were like that. Like, NBA players are terrible about time. You know, they're terrible about time. And so what I started doing was, like, at first I was like, all right, I'm going to start finding them $100 a minute they're late. But I'm like, then I get more money, but I don't gain more respect. So then it just became like having a conversation with them, like, hey, listen, like, this is your window of time. The later you are, the less you get to work out. It's only going to hurt you. And that's when they were like, okay, you know what? And when I told them, like, hey, you realize that, like, there's times where I want to go eat food, because there's times where I don't eat my first meal until 6 p.m. Like, the whole day I'm grinding. Like, there's days where I lose 5 to 10 pounds in a day. And I'm like, just respect me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I respect you, respect me. And when you have those conversations, it changes everything. The world's changed, you know? So,
but okay, on that note, so you do the balance. Like, you're like, I'm going to go play golf, or I'm going to read this chapter, or whatever. But I do have a question about this, because so you train, obviously, NBA players are the top. If you made the NBA, you're like one of the top athletes in the world. Do you recommend that they live that same lifestyle of balance, or do they, as a coach, are you telling them like, no, you need to be 110% all in, all focus? Like, you know, what's the advice to them? Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there's a balance, because I feel like you have to be winning off the court to really succeed on the court.
Okay.
I feel like their players are so connected as basketball players. Like, basketball players are who they are. As much as you want to disconnect those things and say, hey, it's just a sport, it's like, that's who they are. You know, and if they have a bad game, they can't go out and eat without fans shouting at them. They can't look at their social media. They can't do all these things. So I want them winning on the court and off the court. I think that I definitely tend to favor the on the court mentality of, like, you know, there was an article on ESPN not too long ago about Jason Tatum, who's one of my top clients. He was all NBA first team this year, went to the finals, everything. And it was basically this whole story about, it was a true story, but it was when Jason was younger. I started working with him when he was 13 years old. So he was a freshman in high school. And he's super humble, such a team player. And I was like, dude, we got to turn you into like an asshole. We got to turn you into like this arrogant person that knows they're better than everyone else. Because that's what like all the best have. They have that killer mentality, that it factor.
Yep.
And I remember his mom's like, no, like humility, like I want a humble superstar, this and that. And I started listening. I was like, Michael Jordan, greatest of all time. I was like, asshole. Tiger Woods, asshole. Like, you know, we start going down the lines, all those. And then you even go in the business world, like Steve Jobs. Like, you know what I mean?
She says this a lot, like, actually. You guys are very similar. She says this all the time.
You have to have a little, like, spunk to you to really succeed, you know?
I agree with you. I feel like I love Ellen DeGeneres, and she recently just got so much shit for having like this like bad work environment, and that saying she's difficult to work with. And I'm like, but when you're at the top, your name is on your brand, not anybody else's. So when someone else doesn't do their job correctly or doesn't do that's underneath you, you're the one that gets screwed.
Yeah.
And so you do have to have a little bit of that asshole mentality of like, no, we're doing this my way because my way is the way that
I think there's a secret blend though, because what I would say is, to finish that story, I remember when Jason, so they lost junior year in high school, they lost the state championship in the state championship. And I had battled with his mom for years about this arrogant, humble thing. And she like walked straight to me after the game. And because we didn't think he was as aggressive as he needed to be. And she's like, turn my son into an arrogant asshole. And I was like, thank you, let's go. And
is that what you did?
Of course. And it's funny because, you know, nowadays, like people that knew him growing up, he's still the same person to everybody that's in a circle, but the people are like, man, he's way more closed off. And I'm like, one, he's protecting himself, you know, because there's so many people that want to be in his corner because he is so good, so talented. But two, I'm like, he's the same person. It's just now he's got a little more of an edge to him. And that's okay because that helps him succeed. I mean, I can't tell you, there's not one client that I don't try to make them really arrogant, which is funny because people will sometimes be like, you know, casual people will meet athletes and be like, oh my God, he's so arrogant. And I'm like, it's kind of a compliment in the athletic world, you know, because you have to believe in yourself so much.
I was just going to say that.
So much doubt. You have to have like what I call unbreakable faith. Where like there is nothing, you might waver a little bit, but you're never going to break.
No.
I was just having a very similar conversation with somebody because I'm super spiritual, and there's a really common, we talk about this, there's a really common spiritual principle that like, you know, you don't reach enlightenment until you remove your ego. And I believe, I like live my life by spiritual law, but the one thing like I never claim to do is remove my ego because it drives my career. A lot of the things that I've gotten in my career are very ego driven. And there is a part of me that there might be times where you're like, oh, she's kind of bitchy. She's kind of a brat. She kind of has a lot of attitude. Those are comments I hear all the time. But that part of my ego, like it drives my career. So I feel like that's really similar for an athlete, you know, like I don't feel like it would help me or help my career at all if I was just like, I mean, yeah, I guess it's a blend. I agree with that being a little humble, but I feel like you need that. You need a little bit of that arrogance. Not narcissistic,
here's what I would say. I would say that sometimes being selfish is actually the most unselfish thing you can do. And what I mean by that is if you take care of yourself, then you can provide for so many others a lot better. You know, sometimes for an athlete, being selfish means being the best version of themselves for their teams, which helps improve their team. And sometimes being unselfish, like let's say you guys overcommit yourselves, like you were talking about saying yes to everything and overcommit yourselves. You think you're being unselfish by providing for everybody, but really it's a selfish thing because then everyone is getting half of who you really are instead of getting the full you. So yeah, I mean, I think and again, I wouldn't sit up here and lie to you and say there's like a perfect blend because I can tell you that like you have to be able to like, you know what it's like? It's like a good superhero. Like if you think about it, like the good superhero has those two personalities. You have to be able to almost flip those modes and like be in character. Like when you're on the court, you have to be in like asshole mode, arrogant mode, like, you know, and then when you're off, hopefully you can be that normal, you know, but
I'm sure that's challenging, especially with social media, and part of being anything in the public eye, you have to have some sort of a social platform. So with that comes a lot of trolls and feedback that you weren't asking for. And I'm sure that's hard where you do have to be a little bit arrogant and you have to be an asshole to an extent where you're like you said, you have to have so much faith in yourself that no matter if no one else in that room or on that social media platform believes in you, you still believe in yourself. Yeah. And so that has to be challenging. Totally. I can't even imagine to hear the feedback when you're in that much of the spotlight. Yeah.
Let me tell you this. I'm not a professional athlete, but I work with some of the best. Every single time that one of my clients has a bad game, minimum 250 DMs, comments of you suck, give them their money back, whatever.
Which is from all people who are not professional athletes.
Irony. These are losers that are pissed that they lost $5 gambling on a game or their fantasy team took a L that week. Then like 2 days later, the same athlete performs really well. Sorry, my man. Like they're literally having conversations with themselves in my DM. Sorry, my man. Like you do a great work. I've always been a big fan, blah, blah, blah. Then like the next message is like, oh my God, like, listen, I love so-and-so, but I think you guys could work on this. And then like, never mind, you fixed it. It's like, I'm like, dude, bro, you're having a conversation with yourself.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, like you really think I care about like what Joe Schmo and you know, wherever the middle of nowhere is.
Okay, I know you're talking about athletes, but just from knowing you, you're like the nicest person I've ever met. So do you have like an aggressive or like asshole side to you?
Oh, I can for sure see it.
What?
Competitive side. Like I would venture to say that if you had my clients on here, they would say that I am the nicest but biggest asshole that exist.
And I mean that
because I'm one of those people that like Tyrese Halliburton, who was with us last night, you know, basically like he leaves town today. So he's had a great summer and stuff like that. And we're at 2 a.m. We're at a club and he's right below me. And I'm like, yo, Ty, come here. So he like has to, you know, push his way to me and he gets to me and he's like, what up? And I'm like, if you don't fucking shoot the ball more this season, I am good. And he's like, come on, bro, I'm trying to have a good night. And I'm like, you know, and there'll be times where like, it'll be like a Sunday morning, somebody has off. And like this morning I FaceTimed like 3 or 4 of my clients on the way to, this podcast, and like woke up and I'm like, can you believe Bleacher Report rated you the 8th best, whatever. I'm like, and you're over here sleeping in on a damn Sunday. Like, and they're like, like, can we enjoy a Sunday without you? Like, so like, I'm constantly challenging.
I love that. I'm here for that.
Yeah,
I'm here for that mentality.
Dude, I don't play any sports.
But could you call me?
I've recently taken up golf. Terrible. But could you call me?
Of course.
Excuse me.
Could you
Hi.
believe you only got a 125 on your last golf round? I don't even know what the fuck that means.
Okay.
But that's
So you golf, obviously.
Yes.
I got a 125. It was my first time ever golfing. Second time golfing ever. My first time golfing 18 rounds. How was a 125?
Trash. But here's what I would say.
Okay.
Here's what I would say though. I would say that most guys would actually be happy that you were even out there golfing, and the fact that you actually kept score, that's like a start.
I kept score because I wanted to compete with myself and get better, because I actually think it's really fun.
I started playing golf 3 years ago.
Okay.
I probably spent $10,000 on lessons since then, because again, obsessive. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to try to do it well. What I would tell you is like, when it comes to golf, the big thing, like anything, is just like find a couple things that work and like rock and roll with it. So like Frankie Delgado, for instance, I give him trouble all the time because I'm like, Frankie, you play all the time. Like, go get lessons. Like, you know what I mean? And so what I would tell you is like, that would be my advice. And I feel like you can improve so quickly, because if you're passionate about it, then you just take all the advice that they give you, and then you can just like,
it's so much fun.
Put it into action.
Like, this was my second time ever playing, and I was like, and this time I actually kept score and like played by the rules. The first time I was just out there having fun with my boyfriend, but this time I was like, wait, I'm having a great time.
Golf is fun.
I want to get really, really good and take lessons and play, but I need to know what your best score ever.
So the best score ever is 74.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 over. I haven't broke par yet, and it
Okay.
drives me crazy.
Okay.
of course
But,
it does.
Yeah, I'm going to get it soon though.
Okay.
That's so funny. I love that you said trash, because she was so hyped about the score.
But
was
again, if it's your
stoked.
second round
no,
ever,
let's
that's-
just leave it at
there's an
trash, because that was
asterisk, but-
so funny.
But she
Like,
did ask a black and white question of how is
She
125, and that is,
She
No,
100%.
but for my second time ever.
that's the asterisk that I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the asterisk.
so funny.
I had a great time. I thought it was so fun, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get good at this."
course.
So I'm gonna
Yeah.
take some lessons in Logan, because it's a little bit cheaper to take lessons there than it is here at first, and
Yep.
Yeah.
then
I like
I'm gonna
it.
ease into
Come
it.
back
So
and let us know.
I'm gonna become a golf shark.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, question for you. So, you are very competitive. You want to be the best, but you also don't seem to sacrifice like your happiness for it. Is that like what is success for you? Like, what does it look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I always say is no amount of external success is worth your internal peace. And I feel like most people just chase external success. They chase more money, better cars, better clothes. They're always in a rat race. They're in like a race. And the funny thing is, they're trying to get validation from everybody else.
Right.
It's like everybody else's definition of success. And no amount of external praise can fill you up enough to feel
Yeah.
great.
That's true.
My definition of success is really easy. Inner peace. Like inner peace.
Do you need a certain amount of money to have that?
I think there's a point that you have to have, because I know that a lot of the business stuff that I've done has been fueled because of that, like, not pain, because I never was pain like with financially, but it was like, you don't want to have the burden of like feeling stressed out about money. And I feel like so many people live in that world.
Yep.
That's a good story about, the date, when you brought up the date. Like, I literally started going, like I told you, when I was younger, the lemonade stands, the, shoveling snow, doing driveways, burning CDs, like anything I could do to make a little, quick buck, I would do it. But when I started my company, it was weird because I had a car, had 200,000 miles on it, big ass dent in the driver's side door, like where you had to like sometimes kick the, kick the bottom of it so that you could pull the handle at the same time so it would open up. And here I am on the, player of the year in Missouri in basketball. Thought I was, the coolest person in the world. And like had a car that wouldn't start if it was raining out, if it was snowing out, if it was too cold. Like there were so many times where it wouldn't start that I actually had a jumper box, one of those big boxes with the, positive and negative cables on it, that I would jumpstart my car almost every other day.
Oh my God.
almost every other day.
Oh.
So I go pick up a girl for a dance. This is my junior year. And I go pick up a girl for a dance, and I leave my car running because I'm like, I'm not about to risk like having to get my car jump started like in my little like, you know, rented suit or tuxedo or whatever I was wearing at the time. So I go walk to the door to, you know, get her. And the dad was like, come on in. And I was like, perfect. He's like, go turn your car off, stay a while, you know, whatever. And I was like, oh, it's okay. I got plenty of gas. You know what I mean? We're good. And he's like, no, don't waste gas. He was like one of those environmental, like, Doug, don't waste gas. Like, I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, my car is about to like need a jump start. This is the most embarrassing thing. And the next day, there's this gym, this facility called Veta Hampshire. And I called up there. Matt Brobeck was like in charge of basketball. I called up there and said, hey, I want to be a referee. Because referees made $18 an hour. $18 an hour as a high school kid was like, you know, you're a millionaire. Yeah. And so I called up there, left a message. He didn't answer. I didn't really understand business etiquette at that time. So about 2 hours later, hey, not sure if you got my message, but still here waiting for you, buddy. Like, you know what I mean?
Like, you didn't call me back within 5 minutes.
Like,
and that is
of
way
course.
too long.
How this works.
Yeah.
And again, I don't I don't do lines. Like, you guys know this. Like, I don't do lines. Like, I don't wait. I have no patience. It's like, I'm going to figure out ways to make it happen right away. So I call again, leave him another message. So I drive up to the facility. I'm like, all right, if he's there, I'm going to talk to him. I go up, ask the, the person at the reception. I was like, hey, is Matt Brobeck in? They're like, no, he's not. I'm like, where's his office at? Can I leave a note? They're like, oh, it's downstairs. I'll never forget. I went down the stairs, right to the right. There's his office. So I knock on the door. I open the door, and for whatever reason, he had left his office unlocked. You know, I walk in, grab one of his sticky notes, and I wrote, I know you got my messages. Call me. Stick it right on his front desk. No, serious, true story. It's funny because we have a podcast and he tells the whole story, and it's funny. He's like, yeah, I was like, who is this kid? Like, so he calls me back and he was like, hey, I got your messages. Sorry. I was like in meetings and like at a lunch break. And he's like, why do you want to be a referee so bad? And I was like, $18 an hour. He's like, do you have any, certificates to be a ref? Or you like trained to be a ref? Or you pass his classes to be a ref? And I was like, no, but I promise you I can do a better job than some of the refs that ref me. And, he's like, well, you have to like be certified to be a ref. And I was like bummed out. I was like, dude, I'll do anything. Like, just tell me what I need to do. I'll do it. And sure enough, he's like, why don't you just coach my kid's team? And I was like, well, why would I coach your kid's team? He's like, I'll give you $18 an hour. They all look up to you. You're one of the best players in the area. They love coming to your games. I was like, perfect. So like I retired as a ref before I ever started. And I became a coach. And when I became a coach, I loved training the kids. And sure enough, I was working really hard on my own game one day at, the 3-court facility that we were at. And a parent came up to me, put his arm on me. I literally was like shocked. I looked back and he was like, I've never seen somebody work that hard. He's like, can I give you $20 to put my kid through that exact workout? And I was like, $2 pay raise, like done coaching.
Yeah. So you went from
I'm a trainer,
ref to coach to trainer, like
all
that.
because of a $2 pay raise. Yeah,
This is amazing.
And so that was kind of my story. And then I went all in and I wrote a book my junior year in high school. I sold it out of the back of my car. I convinced Kinko's that I was printing the copies for my school project. And so they gave me a discount. So I was getting $5 a book, end up selling 5,000 copies. I was making $20 a book profit.
That's nuts.
I made $100,000 as a 17-year-old selling books out of my backpack. I'd literally go to every camp clinic. I was driving all over the Midwest.
That's crazy.
Then I started doing these academies. I had 96 kids paying me $200 a month to do these academies. So boom, there's another 18 grand a month I was making. And I remember, so I had this lockbox that my grandma gave me that had one number as the like lock, where you just like those cheap fake kind of lock boxes. And so I had ended up buying a bunch of those. And I had them all under my bed. And I remember there was one day where I like told my dad, I was like, hey, can you help me start a bank account? I'm like 16, maybe 17 at the time. And he's like, of course. And so he's like, you have to have at least, I forgot what it was, like $500 to start the thing. And I was like, Pops, like, come here. We went under my bed and I started popping open all these lock boxes and they were just like literally rubber bands.
Oh my God. He's like, are you a drug dealer?
Oh my God. He's probably like, what is going on? He's like, Drew, he's like, how much money do you have? I was like, at the time I forgot what I had, but I had like $80,000 to $100,000 of cash under my bed.
Oh my God.
In high school.
And your parents had no
My
clue.
dad was like, what is going on?
Oh
yeah, a little bit
adjusted for
out.
Inflation. Like that's a lot of money.
Yeah. So we went to Commerce Bank. We did the whole, started a bank account. I learned like I had to pay taxes. I didn't know I had to pay taxes at that time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Drew, you're the most interesting person ever. Okay, you guys, we're going to continue this on a part 2, and we're going to go into questions that people have, a little bit more on your career, and then some stuff about dating, because this was just so good.
Down.
I was like, this episode is so good. Don't you think?
Oh my God. I'm honestly, I feel like I've been really quiet this whole time.
Because you're like taking it in.
Low-key forgetting that I'm the host. And I'm over here like, so I should have brought a notepad and a pen.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I have to play this one back because this one's so good. Okay, you guys. So thank you for tuning in. You can find us on Instagram at smartastsexy, and then get ready for a part 2.
See you next week.
Let's do it.